Star Trek: The Next Generation was a show.
Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Everybody I interacted with.
A show that I started watching when I was a really little kid.
Can you believe it's been 30 years? Star Trek: The Next Generation first.
Star Trek: The Next Generation was my life.
I really grew up with this show.
My relationship to how I should conduct myself. It was the escape from reality. Welcome to Next Generation's First Generation, where Patrick Delmore and Sascha Shouties take a look back into their favorite childhood show, Star Trek: The Next Generation. This is where we attempt to reconcile how we felt as children watching the show and looking back as old farts now in our late 30s, almost 40s. Guests, social commentary, and good old-fashioned shade-throwing on our favorite and least favorite episodes. Here comes Patrick and Sascha.
Hello, and welcome to the 21st episode of the second season of Star Trek: The Next Generation, which we are covering here on Next Generation's First Generation, a Star Trek commentary podcast. We are in a different location. Instead of being in Cantley Studios, we are in the underground lair of our co-host, Mr. Sascha Shouties.
Yeah, it's the Gem Shed X-Pad.
And joining us for this commentary on the episode The Emissary is my co-host, as always, Sascha Shouties.
Hello.
And our graphic designer, Matt Kirchner.
Hello.
Yay. So what episode are we doing today again?
It is The Emissary. And rather than being on the DVD, we are watching it direct from the Netflix. So we'll be seeing it in glorious HD, just like I watched it this Monday on my phone.
Ooh, nice. Alrighty, so we're going to give you the countdown of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we'll push play. So here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And here we go. It's coming up.
Looking good.
We got the poker game going on. How many poker games have we had so far?
2 or 3.
2 or 3. Different people each time.
You mean fold, Data? That's correct. Fold. To bend, to make compact.
Oh, Data.
I raised 50.
Worf is just impatient with him.
I cannot believe Lieutenant Worf understands all the nuances of this betting procedure. I wouldn't be so quick to judge Data.
So, I guess the question is here, they've got Pulaski in on this game, and they had her in the last game as well with Data, right?
I think they did. I couldn't speak to it for sure.
Huh. So I remember the last time we saw the last time we saw Data at a poker table, it was to demonstrate a function of his. I can't remember what the heck it was. This is killing me.
I'm glad you stayed in.
So without money, what do you think they bet here? I mean, what does it mean if you win the pot? Is it just for honor, or?
Yeah.
It's just a friendly game. It's like when you don't...
Yeah.
Anybody else doesn't play for money.
This isn't Tom Paris's replicator ration raffle.
Yeah, they're just kind of hanging out and...
Not with these guys.
Looks like it's just us, Hanson.
She and Worf are getting a little bit
I'll see.
nose to nose, aren't they? Dr. Pulaski and Worf.
They like each other.
Yeah.
They respect each other.
Yeah.
There's the dirty whistle.
Yeah, Worf is probably the only one that likes Pulaski.
The Iceman?
Little prediction for season 7.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to have to clue me in there. I'm not picking up on the
There's
reference.
there's an episode where Data is known as the Iceman.
Ah, okay.
It's that one where they...
They were calling Worf the Iceman.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I thought he was calling Data the Iceman. But yeah, it's the episode where they infiltrated a naval base in the 1980s.
Now, Data
Jordy's goose.
did a quick little trick there where he cut the cards one-handed. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, you could see though that they cut away to those hands. I don't think that's Brent Spiner doing that.
Oh no, it showed him the bust of him and he was holding it right there and he cut. And I'm just thinking to myself how many times he had to practice that or how many times he had to do that take. So
Another Klingons never do a thing that Klingons do. Klingons never bluff.
Oh yes, Klingons bluff all the
Well,
time.
and again, that's kind of the central focus of the episode.
Data. Emergency signal reads as follows.
Our helms person next to Data, you will recognize if you're a fan of Mad About You.
Further orders.
No way.
That's Fran from Mad About You. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Operate, sir.
Okay. I see
Helen
it.
Hunt's best friend.
Of course they do, Captain.
Warp 8.
So they got an emergency call to go somewhere.
Engage.
They just said, go to these coordinates. We're not going to explain.
Zip, zip, and away they go.
Yeah.
Here are our opening credits.
Yes, that's right. So, now you said this is the 21st.
I thought it was.
Ah,
Is it not?
my notes say 20.
Oh, okay.
Well, the time will make fools of us all.
Yeah.
So we'll just see how it shakes out when I publish on the audio editor there. Anyway, this episode is directed by Cliff Boyle, story by Thomas Calder, teleplayers by Richard Manning and Hans Beimler. Featured music is by our lovely Ron Jones. Edward R. Brown did the cinematography. So this came out on June 26th, 1989. So we're hoping that it's a beautiful, not quite fire season yet summer for you.
Yeah, we're in wildfire country over here, so
Oh, it was terrible. Some of these episodes, recording it felt like I was going to a bar with all the smoke in the
Yeah.
air. Oh my!
the sky was yellow all the summer of 2018. Something to tell your grandchildren if they live.
Dun dun dun. So, anywho, we're approaching the end of the season, actually, Patrick, and I kind of wish they gave a fond farewell or a bad farewell. It's just some kind of farewell to Dr. Pulaski.
I
Like
agree.
shoving her out the airlock.
Yeah, something like that. Because this episode, and actually the next one, you get to see some more defining moments of the character. And then nothing.
Well, you know what else is funny about this helmswoman? In the film Inside Llewyn Davies, which interestingly features Kylo Ren and Poe Dameron singing together. She is married to the actor who played Neelix.
No.
Yeah,
Wow.
so lots of odd sci-fi crossovers in that movie. And here's the Admiral. As you can see, Dr. Pulaski's hairstyle is very popular
Yeah.
at this time.
And the design your own Admiral suit. I wonder if they just give you some red cloth and say, just bedazzle this however you want. And that's what the Admiral uniform is. So one thing that we missed when Data came up to relieve the helmsman in the opening scene there, that was Dietrich Bader, and he was in Beverly Hillbillies.
Well, he was in lots of stuff.
Yeah.
He's the voice of Batman. He's on Veep right now.
Yeah, Office
It's on the Drew
Space.
Carey show.
Yeah.
You'll notice the Admiral in this is not wearing a Starfleet badge either.
No. Well, maybe she just woke up and had to... He's like, oh, we got to get this communique out. A lot of head movement there.
Yeah, and I love that you can tell she's wearing like a Sears bra under that too. Like the wardrobe department just went in and draped a piece of red over behind her and like tied it with like a knot at the back.
Oh, man. So, the Admiral called in to say... It's very interesting. They're kind of being led on a trail of breadcrumbs. So the opening scene was, go to these coordinates and show up, warp 8. They get to the coordinates and they receive a hail from an Admiral saying, there is a emissary riding in a probe, and you got to meet them at these other coordinates. So it seems like they're going out of their way to really quietly move this person around.
And none of this, what they're doing, we find out later, is really classified in any way.
Yeah,
They're not sent on a covert mission or anything. It's just...
wouldn't it have been easier for them just to say, "Hey, here are the coordinates of the probe. Go meet up with them," rather than have to do step A, step B, and then go finally step C to the probe. We got the creepy music coming in. There. So one thing they said was, well, if you remove all the equipment from the probe, you can actually put a person in there. Now, I remember reading up on the probes in the technical manual, and it's basically a torpedo casing. And that's about it.
I think their measurements are off, too. They say it's just over 2 meters long. And the actress that got playing the Emissary is quite tall.
She's huge, yeah.
Yeah, so you add that plus any... You're really...
2 meters is what, 6 feet?
Yeah. And so she's easily 6 foot.
Oh, yeah. We could probably look that up.
And then they're talking about room for life support and a propulsion system still. So you got to figure you need at least another 2 feet for that. So
yeah.
Yeah, I would have liked to have watched this non-HD and see how that looked. Because it looks pretty good in HD.
Mm-hmm. They cleaned it up. The tractor beam looks great there. I actually think they did some changing on the casing of the probe too. It looks a little chunkier, I guess you could say. So they beamed the probe aboard. About time the doctor showed up. It's like, sorry, I went to transporter room 2 instead of 3. So the emissary here is the actor Susie Plaxon,
who played Dr. Solar in the episode with Data's grandfather.
That's right. And was also Monica de Vertebrate in The Dinosaurs. Was on Mad About You, Everyone Loves Raymond, How I Met Your Mother. And was in a couple of movies like Bingo and Wag the Dog. Oh, she was in Wag the Dog. That's a good movie.
Yep. I actually reviewed that on Letterboxd this year.
Okay.
Find my review.
Ratings are quite interesting.
So where was the room for the warp engines on that thing? That's what I want to know. Because it was moving at warp 8.
But they put padding in there for her, which is nice.
Yeah.
You speak Klingon.
and you can clearly see there's nothing at the foot or the head of that probe.
Yeah.
So it's just...
Klingons are not supposed to mind hardship. Nonetheless, I am delighted at that damned coffin.
No, okay, she's not too tall there. I mean, look how tall Jonathan Frakes is.
Right, so she's, what, a few inches under, but still, there was, you know...
Your vital signs are rather...
This is one of those where if you were to meet these people in real life, you'd realize they're much shorter than they actually are.
Right, but look at her compared to the door there and stuff. I mean, she's still quite tall.
If only I had a device where I could Google how tall is Susie.
Well, Sasha,
Yeah.
if you knew Susie like I knew Susie...
Oh, I think I'd have a Susie Q. Well, we've got the awkward moment there with Worf. So we're introducing around the conference table. Worf, I know him.
So this is where you've been hiding. I told you.
She breaks the protocol, struts around.
Aren't you looking for me?
Oh,
No.
there's a great move in here. I think it's Troy that does this. I'll point it out when it happens. This is genius. And if you're in a workplace, a tense workplace situation like this, you should do what Troy does in this scene.
Oh, does she have a good redirection?
Yeah.
Nice. Worf, it's kind of hard to nail down when Worf wants to be grumpy and then when Worf is really grumpy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's got the whole I'm not having it face. And just remember, this is definitely a Worf episode for sure.
Yeah. It's one of the best Worf episodes. One of the best early Worf episodes.
Yeah, I think this would have done better than the season 1 episode where they found the criminals, the outlaws.
I still like that one. The more I think about that episode, I like it. The thing you got to remember about Worf is that Worf has appeared in more Star Trek than literally any other character.
Yeah, that's right. He's got the most airtime.
But they didn't develop. They developed him almost much later than any other character,
Yeah.
which is really sad because Michael Dorn is a very talented actor.
Well, think of it this way. Had they developed him too early, he may have not been as malleable to whatever they needed him to do in the episode.
I disagree. I think he would have been a bigger asset to the show.
So here's what she's there for. Is there's a bunch of Klingons that are in cryogenic sleep. They don't say why. They're going to be woken up and they're going to still think that they're at war with the Federation. And her recommendation is she's going to blow the Klingons out of the sky. Just kill them all.
Hunt them
When they
down
wake up.
and kill them?
Yeah.
Now, that would be good for Klingon culture because it's the good way to go.
The honorable way to die. Yeah.
So to die in battle. So you're doing them a favor.
Okay, here comes Troy's moment.
Worf is not happy.
Yeah. Worf does not want to follow Picard's orders. Troy senses this, and she says, I will take her. So Worf doesn't have to say anything.
I didn't realize that Susie was wearing a jumpsuit there. Now, she's working for the Federation, or is she working for the Klingons?
She's working for the Federation.
She's the Federation ambassador, or she becomes the Federation ambassador to the Klingon Empire.
Ah, I thought Worf was the first one. The first Klingon ambassador from the Federation to the Empire. Oh, wow.
Well, technically he's the first full Klingon because
She's half
Taylor's half Klingon.
Right.
And so he and Picard have the conversation. Do you have any professional reason why you don't want to work with her? Worf says no, and this conversation, thanks to Troy, happens just between the two of them, so that there's no. Because man, Riker would have kicked his ass if he'd been in the. Oh yeah, he would have done. He would have gone into his hole. Listen here, Mister.
You're out of line.
Yeah.
So this is a very interesting conversation here. They're talking about being half children.
Yeah.
I find this very interesting. So you've got half Klingon, half human, then half human, half Betazoid on opposite male-female sides of the parent being the human or the mom being human. And I think of B'Elanna Torres, and I really want to believe they modeled B'Elanna after Susie.
Could be. She was another character that didn't get interesting until the very end of the series that she was on.
Having my mother's sense of humor is bad enough.
Well, so in story writing, when do you want to start building on a character?
Look at somebody like, let's take Major Kira, for example. Now, the reason that she worked so well is because they had the whole Ensign Rowe backstory, and that's who they wanted her to be.
Right.
So that they were able to take that and start Kira from that. But even then, she's a very different, when she becomes a colonel, she's a almost unrecognizable character of what she was like when she was introduced in the very first episode of Deep Space Nine.
But that was constant development. Yeah. From the first episode to the last episode, things were always happening with that character that added to her nature.
Deep Space Nine developed their characters a lot faster than the other shows did.
This one, I feel like we're easing into a swimming pool that's too hot or too cold. Like we're really taking our time learning about these individuals.
It's only the second time we've seen this room. Look at her. She's like, did she bring those cat suits with her?
Well, remember they can replicate clothing, so they just.
Can you just hear that conversation between her and the replicator?
Yeah, tighter. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, create something that will impress Mr. Worf.
I love how she pulls a little S&M in there. She goes, "Don't worry, I won't bite." Yeah. Oh wait, I do.
Yeah.
I think we do learn that biting's a thing with the Klingons in this episode.
But she's also got like regular looking human teeth, which would be weird for him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She's got that straight smile. I always liked her approach. She never came out pulling any punches. She's like, I'm here to get a job done. If we need to talk about this, let's get it out of the way. And Worf always seemed to be either on one end or the other of the emotional spectrum.
I mean, as I see it, we have
I like the music in the background. You can't really hear it on the recording, but there's some really nice woodwind.
Yeah.
It's a very romantic song, and you don't hear a lot of that.
Yeah, Ron Jones again.
As far as I'm concerned.
He's amazing.
How much do you think that prop, the Worf sash prop, actually weighs? I assume it's not made out of metal. It's made out of plastic and looks like metal, but
Boy, I don't
it
know.
doesn't make any noise when he moves around. But
He's got a leather jacket. It jingles.
yeah.
Boy, I would imagine that's a couple of pounds.
Military objective.
So they're trying to figure out where the Klingons are going to strike, but don't they know where the ship is?
No, that's weird because they never say in this whole thing what these Klingons' orders were, why they were in cryogenic sleep.
Yeah, they're most likely a sleeper ship. It's an old... There were rumors during the Cold War the Russians did that, and there were a possibility we did that. Is you send... There's sleeper agents. You send them out, basically, and then, in the event that the Empire were to fall or something to happen, they're out there with vague orders of just pretty much... You wake up, you attack the enemy, but it's so they're undetectable, and they're like a fail-safe weapon.
So, I see these two arguing, and they were lovers.
No, they haven't been lovers yet.
They knew each other.
Yeah, they knew each other. When they hook up later on in this episode, the calisthenics program, that's the first time they've actually had sex.
Whatever happened to that wonderful Klingon fatalism of yours?
That would have been a great spin-off, just like how they met.
Yeah. It could still happen. I think there's a lot of goodwill for telling even more of Worf's story.
To go back to your sleeper thing, Matt, does it make sense militarily to just commit an entire vessel and its crews to put them to sleep and say, wake up in 20 years and start killing shit?
In the context of this, yes. In a planetary, like with our government, no. Because where would the ship go? The ocean's only so big.
Right.
You can find them eventually. In the context of space this big,
you could hide them anywhere.
Yeah. Now, 100 years ago, Federation space wasn't the same size. So if you take into account that, and you can't scan all the spaces easily. You would just send out probably 30 ships in just various directions, and your job is just to float in areas that are undetected. And at certain points, it's if you don't know what's going to happen politically and militarily in the future, but you want to have
some guys on standby.
Yeah, or it could be that you may need them later on, and you send an activation code out to activate your sleeper agents.
Yeah. I'm going to interrupt you really quick. So here we see a classic theme with Klingons, and especially with B'Elanna Torres too, is that trying to contain the animal within. That's a theme we see a lot. So our emissary here was really upset about the conversation she had with Worf and decided to take it out on the table. And Troy just happens to be walking by and says, "Oh, so I see you're breaking furniture. Is everything okay?"
It's not just happens. I want to give Troy more credit than the show does, where she is very interested in this emissary, and she was the one that decided to be her liaison instead of Worf. So she's around, and she's feeling for her emotions.
What would you say that here this is the most counseling that Troy has ever done so far?
I guess.
So far?
I don't think that she's...
Yes, yeah. So far.
So far. I mean, she plays a much bigger, more responsible role, but here she's kind of like the go-to friend helping Kalar. Is that I'm saying your name right? Kalar? Yeah.
Calisthenics program of Lieutenant Worf.
So, I mean, she's obviously interested. She's tuned in. She shows up when she needs to.
So, what I'm trying to interrupt. What's interesting here is she's scanning the program. She asks for a description of the Worf's calisthenics program.
Yeah.
But she never says start the program. It just decides, oh, you're interested? Well, let's just turn this thing on and set it in motion.
These weapons of Worf's, that just makes no sense.
This is the kind of thing a little kid would dream up. I like the idea that, him and his Worf and his adopted human father would sit around and build that stuff together. Like when Worf was upset, he and his dad created
just
that
make some weapons.
Yeah, created that program for him. Like, Worf would wake up like angry in the night, and his dad would be like, "Well, let's sit down and look at this."
That sounds like a very Star Trek thing to do. Is
You
like,
want monsters? I'll give you monsters.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll make you. I'm gonna. When a father builds a tree house for his son, you know, when a parent builds a holodeck program for their kid.
Yeah, we get a treehouse. He gets a horrific ruins on a planet with monsters.
This is great, Dad. I can't wait to start murdering.
Especially with that bizarre backstory they introduced about Worf on Deep Space Nine, which I hate, about where he was celebrating with that kid and headbutted him and killed him.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Well, maybe maybe they made the calisthenics program for Worf to redirect his anger.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay.
You got this kid that, you know, no humans that we know of had raised full Klingon children before.
Oh.
So he's got to be innovative.
This reminds me of when Odo took on that Dominion soldier as a puppet.
Yeah.
And it says, in here, you can kill as much as you want. Out there, you have to behave.
Yes.
Huh.
It's kind of too bad they didn't think, because what's his name? Worf was on Deep Space Nine at that point. If they could have brought in Worf's dad.
I keep on forgetting. So because this is we're watching this, I'm not going to do it. But I really want to go back and read what other options are on the holodeck screen there.
Yeah.
Because this is HD, so we can actually read what they are now.
The coding on these creatures, though, like it's like, you know, the feathers and the hat, and it's very much like, oh god, natives are scary. I wonder if this is a real species, this skull grunter.
Skeletor there?
Yeah.
Well, it's a holodeck, so Worf once creatively used the term vicious animal things.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the first time I watched this episode.
Which episode did that come from?
That was in the second Q episode.
Right. Where they stabbed Wesley.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow, we've come a long way.
Yeah.
This is like episode number 42 for us, I think. Not including shore leave. So, they're aroused by battle.
Mm-hmm.
Not much of a program.
Oh, Worf is about to drop the mic here. Puts on his weapon. Computer level 2. It's a nice little broadsword he picked up there.
Yeah.
But the blade, which is... Well, you would never pick up a blade. What is this guy doing? I'm going to grab this weapon by the sharpest edge possible and grip it really tight.
Yes, and you'll see that these swords are actually so sharp that he can slice these things in half with them. But apparently not sharp enough to slice your palm open.
Yep.
That's like the worst way to counter... I'm sorry, I really dislike television fighting so much. Let's make contact with our weapon in every blow. Oh, it's a potato bug guy.
Yeah.
Stabs. Alright. Rolls over. Skeletor, you're back in. Come on, man. Get your kicks. We practiced this in cardio. Oh, he's falling to pieces. That was a cool effect, though.
Yep. Later used in the film Equilibrium.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so now she cannot control her inner animal? And Worf is like, we're going to redirect this. Now, I don't think Worf was wearing his dentures in that shot. Because his teeth look pretty... Michael Dorn's teeth look pretty straight right there. Kind of reminds me in Star Wars, the Admiral had the wrong size boots, so he did most of his scenes in his slippers. Do you remember that?
That was Grand Moff Tarkin.
Yeah.
They didn't. They misordered his boots, so yeah, he did most of his scenes. They did it from the knees up.
This is a very interesting ceremony here.
Yeah.
I was never sure, and I'm not sure now. Is this an actual ceremony, or are they just being intimate with each other?
They're just being intimate.
Looking for pheromones, I'm thinking.
Being freaky.
Xenobiology?
Yeah. Is that Tiberius I smell you wearing?
Yeah, they're definitely looking for each other's pheromones. Okay. But did you notice the blood in the palm there? Yeah. Now, should that be shocking, though?
No.
But it would be shocking to 1980s America?
Maybe.
That didn't bother me when I watched that as a kid. I'm just like, okay, that's how they do things. But of course, as a kid, I did not remember them being, I don't remember her being a half Klingon, half human.
You're the perfect Klingon. The ultimate minimalist. Talk to me.
She, if she knew anything about Klingons, Worf is not the perfect Klingon. He's a purist.
He's the next step, is what he is. We're kind of seeing that on Discovery, as we're seeing, how they evolved from what they were into what they became in Star Trek, the original series.
Yeah, but if you compare him to other Klingons in this space and time, they're rowdy, drunken bards.
Right.
They have a lot of fun.
Right.
And they communicate, and they tell you their feelings either through fighting or through, merriment and joy. But Worf, he's serious the whole time through.
We were both too young, too unaware.
See, now they're talking about their past relationship, and I really think it was a past relationship.
It might have been a relationship, but I don't think it was sexual.
Yeah, they might have dated, but...
Yeah, it's impossible to tell through the dialogue.
Because, Worf makes it clear that because they mated, they now have to get married.
Oh, and
so if they had made it in the past,
We are mated.
say,
Yes, I know. I was there.
she was there.
yeah, see, he,
I am not going to become your wife.
yeah, it implies that as soon as they, engage in Klingon nonsense, that they have to get married.
Well, here's the interesting thing. They were both raised by humans. But she didn't take it seriously, and Worf did.
Well, because probably what happened when they met was it was like, well, this is probably the only person you'll ever be able to be with. And they probably, neither one of them liked that much.
It's also, so Worf's parents did their best to raise Worf Klingon and keep him in touch with his heritage.
Yeah.
Versus Kalar's raised, probably raised more human to embrace human sides.
Because she's pulling a lot of values from the human side in this, as Worf is.
Yeah, so the upbringing was more human. Yes, we're raised on Earth, and yeah, you're Klingon, but we're going to teach you English first. We're going to teach you to like human food. Versus Worf, and he's made that comment before in the past, that his parents were very careful to maintain his Klingon heritage.
Okay.
And to instill that in him.
Honestly, I think Worf missed the point. He's too textbook Klingon.
That's kind of the idea, is he's overcompensating.
He taught himself this is how a Klingon should be. And it's hurting his relationship with another Klingon right there.
Yeah. Also,
and you see that and I hate to keep on pulling out the Deep Space Nine card, but he's always isolating himself from other Klingons.
Yeah, it's because it's overcompensation. I was raised by humans, so in his probably subconscious, he feels he's got to compensate for being raised by humans by being more Klingon. And more,
But at the same time, this show exists in part to teach, lessons to nerd kids. And one of them is that you might have sex someday with a girl that doesn't want to date you afterwards.
Or marry you, yeah.
And how you receive that. And actually they did a whole episode of Young Indiana Jones Chronicles that's that same kind of a story. About 4 or 5 years later, I'm going to say 4 years later, if it was 93, that was on. And the idea behind that story was it was Indy's first sexual encounter was with Mata Hari, who is a spy that her whole deal was having sex with men to get information out of them. And he's continuing to have this relationship with her, but it's not a romantic relationship on any level, and he doesn't get that because he's supposed to be about 16, 17 years old.
Right.
And he's like, why aren't you with me exclusively? Like, how are you with other men? I'm not okay with this. And it's just him kind of coming to the realization that it's like, no, it's totally acceptable for people to have agency, and that doesn't take away from your enjoyment of what you're going through with them. And you know who wrote that? Carrie Fisher.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, agency is really important here because they're having a conversation right here where, I mean, they've even brought Data into this, jokingly as a chaperone.
Yeah. But again, both of those are stories for boys, not necessarily women's stories.
Yeah. Well, I think they were targeting... The target audience right now was the American family sitting down watching television. Would you agree?
Well, it was for my house, but I think at this point there's still like it's young men that are watching Star Trek. Or, people that grew up with the original show who are probably, at this point only in their, 40s or...
No.
Because we're not even at 25 years since the show originally aired at this point.
True.
We're at like 22, 23 years ago.
So we switched to the B plot now. They've supposedly located the ship, and now they're trying to figure out what to do with it. Now here's something interesting. So Kalar is saying, hey, these are Klingons, they're going to act like Klingons, and they're going to attack. You can't talk them out of it. And Worf's going to come up with a creative solution to this, but it kind of dovetails off of their impasse in the holodeck, where Worf is, I'm going to do the Klingon thing. And Kalar's saying, no, I don't want to do the Klingon thing. And now Kalar's saying, we've got to do the Klingon thing in dealing with these Klingons, and they've basically switched. So Worf is going to suggest something else. Too late. They found them. Yellow alert.
Riker just launches himself out of his seat.
Alert. He can't wait.
Is it good? Yeah, well, it's because he's more like, God, I hope she doesn't sit
So
in
is
my
that
chair.
where the conference room is right behind the door they came out of?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
It's always been there.
It's that bean-shaped thing. If you look at the exterior Enterprise, it's that bean-shaped thing
Okay.
attached to the bridge.
It's literally right behind all the station consoles back there.
Okay.
Like, if you were to go at it with a pickaxe and cut through those consoles, you'd go into the conference room.
Sensors showed life forms aboard, but I am unable to ascertain whether they are awake or dormant. However, their
Oh,
propulsion
Data.
system is inactive, so I would hypothesize that the crew is asleep.
And you're wrong.
Yeah.
They just fired on us.
Could be an error.
Yeah.
I love Data.
Choose holding.
It's not what he says, it's how he says it.
So these two ships, there's no match. The Enterprise could just sit there all day and take fire from this old Klingon cruiser. Did we identify what kind of ship that was?
That's going to be...
It's not a D7.
No, I believe it's a Katinga class. It's from the movie. It's from the movie era.
Yeah, that's a new thing there. LaForge transferring engineering to the bridge. That's the first time we've seen this.
Yeah.
That is a throwback to the original series, though. Scotty had a station in the back.
Did he?
Yeah, for when he'd need to be able to speak directly to the captain, but still maintain engineering functions.
It's a great way, too, to cut down on production, because then you don't have to crew to sets, get things up. You can just say, hey, why don't we have them come up here and access the engine?
Right,
from
and
the
you
bridge?
think that it's funny that your security chief stands there right behind the captain when it's like it would be engineering that would need to be on hand, not...
Well, in this, it's your security chief is also his tactical officer. So,
But all those stations are modular. Like, if you look at it literally, any console could be any other console the way things are networked up there. Oh, now they suggested an alternate option, but we don't know what it is.
Standard evasive maneuver. Now stay with it.
Yes, sir.
The tongue is now on a
She looks so different with her hair up like that. I can see the character, but I have a hard time seeing the character.
Now put us right in that box under full stop. Full power shields. Full power.
So they are going to go to battle. How do you bait a cloaked Klingon ship to fight you when you
Just
have
be a
the
big
superior-
Federation ship that would be great to take as a prize.
There you go.
that or just being, show or just basically outright challenge them, because the way the Klingon model is for this is if they were to back away from a fight, they would look cowardly. I mean, they have to know they're outgunned. Their sensors from that era would be like, yeah, this ship has more weapons and we have people on board. So...
Is Diedrich Bader back up there again?
Yeah, he's filling
He's
in for
tactical.
Worf.
Yeah. This is a great thing right here. Check it out. What? Worf is in charge?
Yeah.
Why is there a Klingon on this big ship?
What treachery is this? By whose authority? I am Worf.
So the Captain Katemak there is Lance Legault. Just died not too long ago, September 10th, 2012. But he was in Elvis Presley movies.
Did it not occur to you that the war would be over by now? I have no proof of that.
It's like,
Close your eyes.
he could have pushed Worf a lot further and figured out this was fake. He's like, whose son are you? What house do you represent?
Well, not only that, when they say trust your eyes, it's like, really? Because, we were able to make Klingons look human, so 100 years ago. What?
Well, he follows up his bluff with a threat. Well, if you don't believe that...
Now, that makes sense, yes.
If you don't believe me, I'll just kill you. And that'll solve the discussion right here.
Then die in ignorance.
There you go.
I can waste no more time on.
Dorn's having a blast. Look at him.
Yeah. I always like Worf in a commander position rather than as a subordinate. Because he doesn't make bad decisions, but he definitely makes deliberate, violent decisions, which is a lot of fun to watch.
Well, and that's what you look for in a military commander. Is you may not make it's the adage is it doesn't matter if you make a right decision, just make a decision.
Yeah.
Very well. Fire all phases.
Make a decision and be ready to stand by your decision too. They go into that in Deep Space Nine with Worf when he goes on trial.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. That's a great episode.
Yeah, it was one of those, I was in command, I made the decision. I didn't hesitate.
I'm really surprised that this commander is yielding. I mean, that's grounds to be executed by your own crew right there.
Well, not only that, is the idea around a sleeper ship is you're put out there and you don't have recall orders. It's like with our missile command things. The president can't just go on the bombers and say, no, turn around, forget Moscow.
Yeah.
Their mission is, no matter who calls them, even the High Chancellor, they're not supposed to be... we go out guns blazing. We shoot everything that moves, and there is no recall or off switch. The only way to do it it's a suicide mission is essentially what sleeper agents are.
You know what I realized, and I heard what you're saying, I just realized every shot of that Klingon ship was the same exact shot. It was the front profile. It was never the side.
It was reused from the movies.
Was it?
I can't remember exactly which one. It was reused from, I want to say, it was unused footage from the motion picture.
Okay.
Because they mostly use Birds of Prey in the subsequent movies.
Gotcha. Right, Riker's like, hey, you did a good job, man.
I'm taking a few days shore leave now.
That's kind of rare to see Riker do an attaboy.
Give it 5 years and you may make Lieutenant Commander.
So Kalar is going to go onto the other ship, and what I wondered was they're going to notice right away that she's not full Klingon, and she's going to have to explain that whole story on the long ride back to Kronos.
Well, no, they got another ship that's coming in a day or so.
Yeah, that she
okay.
works with.
Yeah.
You can stay alive for a couple of days on a Klingon ship if they don't like you.
Yeah, and probably by then that they'll, if since they're doing the whole surrender thing, they'll have reached out or get a comm signal from the Klingons now that they're decloaked, and say, yeah, no, go ahead and listen to her.
You're not going to say goodbye, Worf? Come on, man.
Is there anything else you require?
Yeah, I handshake you, jerk.
No.
I think it would have been funny if he said, the transporter pad is right there.
Yeah.
He ghosts her so bad. And then she shows up with the kid later on and then cries when she dies. It's like, come on, man. Just do it. Just commit. You know you want to, but his pride's in the way.
I wish that instead of him setting his hands there, he had just, thrown him up like, all right,
It's like, What do you want from me?
So for some reason, I don't know why I thought this was the Alexander episode, but that one's in the 4th season. It's called Reunion. Okay, so we see so this is the 3rd season. No, 2nd season.
2nd season.
And then the 3rd season. Then the 4th season comes back, but that was supposed to be 6 years have passed. So there's a time compression issue there.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, they never really officially said one season is 1 year.
No, they didn't.
So everybody always assumes that, but there's no...
Because you think of it as with the original series where every season was supposed to be 1 year.
Yeah.
It might hurt my head, though, because if we go back and look at the star dates, I bet you it's all wrong.
Well, no, they've had people do that. The star dates are all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, and they always were, too, you know. If you try to look at the original Star Trek movies, there was huge gaps and stuff. And, like, when Khan was left on the planet versus Wrath of Khan, there's a massive difference in times.
That's why when you see people write about this now, they just write the year that it's supposed to have taken place in.
Yeah.
Which is a relatively new thing. That's like about the last 10 years.
According to Old Earth calendar, it's September 25th, 2063.
Well, that's because that didn't start. They didn't start talking like that about it until Enterprise came on. Because Enterprise would say the actual Earth year.
Yeah.
So then they were like, well, we can just apply this to every other show now that Enterprise has done it.
Yeah, they would go down right to the date. Yeah, it's May 3rd, 20, you know.
So, Worf is letting her walk.
I will not be complete.
Oh, no, he reaches out.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's true. It's kind of true.
Well, I'm kind of wondering if this is kind of like the life in the military is always a lonely one. You don't stay paired up for long because you're always moving on to the next post. Unless you're in
Star Trek, in which case you spend 7 years on one ship.
Yeah. Well, that means you can bring your family. So, this completes the episode. Through the magic of television, I'm going to rewind to the holodeck there and see
The
what
end
I
credits
can
should have
find.
just been, what's it? All That She Wants Is Another Baby by Ace of Base.
All that she wants is another baby. She's gone tomorrow, but all that she wants is another baby.
Yeah.
Alright, so what I'm doing here is I'm looking for this holodeck.
You were just about there.
Yeah,
There you go.
alright, so this is at 21 minutes, 22 seconds. She brings up the thing, and she's talking.
Show me the exercise thing.
They're looking for the exercise. Okay, scuba diving. In what? Hanumura Bay, Earth? Klingon Rite of Ascension Chamber.
Hey, we saw that in an episode.
Yeah, calisthenics, Lieutenant Worf. Shikar Desert Survival, Vulcan. Carnival Celebration, Rio de Janeiro. Racetrack, what? Long Champs. What? Racetrack long jumps, maybe? Long champs?
One of Picard's, probably.
And then 2 of Dixon Hills.
Huh.
The Long Dark Tunnel and the Black Orchid. Look at that.
Huh. That's cool.
Yeah.
That was a good idea to pause that. Now we had posted on here. There are some weird screen grabs. If you're on the Star Trek ship posting, you've probably seen the name Douglas Gale pop up quite a bit. And he posted Data's age. His activation date was 103 years.
Right? Oh, I did
Before
see
the show
that.
began. Yeah.
I mean, Data's an android, so it
Yeah.
could be that they found him 100-something years ago. They studied him for quite a while, and then he decided he wants to go into the academy. He holds a number of advanced. It said he holds a number of advanced degrees at the academy, so it's possible he could have spent 10 years studying at Starfleet, got a couple of advanced degrees, and then he's a lieutenant commander now. So that's got to be 6-7 years in the fleet.
I see it kind of like the used car model. So when you buy a car from a lot, even the brand new cars are going to have some miles on it. But when you buy it, you don't think, oh, this car is a couple months old. It's like, no, I'm starting it now. This is my new car. I've had this new car for 1 year, even though it's had maybe a couple hundred or a couple thousand miles on it still. So maybe that's the idea with this incarnation of Data, is that we turned him on, he went to school, and he is 26 or something like that, but really he's got another 80 years behind him.
Yeah, Wesley said at one point that he and Data are about the same age.
Maybe Wesley just doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, look at Dr. Sung in later episodes. The guy's at the end of his life. They establish that humans live about 150 years now.
Oh yeah, but we're way off track. So this was a Worf episode, and the thing that kept on running through my mind was Worf and Dax. Because what did Worf want? A traditional wedding. He wants everything Klingon. With Kalar, he wanted tradition, everything Klingon. Kalar is just like, hey, I just wanted to have fun with you, and you're kind of a cool guy, but if you're going to be that way, I'm going to just do my own thing. And then we had this B plot of find the sleepy Klingons and kill them or not. I mean, that the only reason they existed was to bring Kalar on the ship. So really, there was no B plot. It was all A plot.
And I would say my rating for this is 5 out of 5. I mean, we went off on a bunch of tangents, but that was just because it was a straightforward episode.
Yeah,
it was pretty good. I really have nothing to complain about that happened in the episode. Mm-hmm. Even Troy was good in this episode.
Oh, I know. She did her job. She showed up when someone was in emotional distress, calmed them down, talked about it,
and helped out in that meeting excellently.
Yeah, with the redirection.
Yeah,
it was like, hey, why don't you come with me?
So yeah, 5 out of 5. Big spiky gloves. Spiky gloves,
yeah, that's not bad. I would also give it a 5 out of 5 spiky gloves. It's solid Worf character development. You get to see some more Klingon attitude, which is always fun because every time we talk to external Klingons, it kind of casts the mold a little bit more on where they should be. It was a lot of fun. And it was kind of cool to see Riker and Picard just step back and not take charge. They were not leading anything. The most that Picard did was say, go that way, because we have to. But really, they gave a lot of leadership to Worf, which up until this point, it was all about Worf saying, should we kill them now? No, that's a stupid suggestion. But he actually got a chance to shine. So 5 out of 5 spiky gloves. How about you, Matt?
I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 just because I never give anything 5 out of 5.
Nothing.
There's always more you can do to improve stuff.
Okay.
I very rarely give a maximum anything.
But you liked it.
I liked it a lot, yeah. It was, like I said, it was the first time someone decided to try to develop Worf in a meaningful way, other than we're going to develop him by saying he's a warrior of some sort.
Yeah, but they spoke to the person, not to the species.
Yeah, they showed more of his, and he even admits that. It says, my first instinct used to be just to kill things, but having lived with humans and served on the Enterprise, I now understand that there's more than one way to do things.
They did another hint to Worf for character development. That was the tea ceremony with Pulaski. I think that was the actual first personal...
And that goes back to what we were talking about. I think that's why Pulaski and Worf get older. They both... That's why I said Worf's probably the only one who really likes her.
They concede each other for who they are.
Yeah, Worf's probably... It seems like the only one that's actually taken a minute to try to get to know her, too.
Wow.
Because, when we were talking about when Pulaski leaves, I can just imagine that Picard's like, no need, Doctor. We'll just site to site transport you off the ship. Taking the liberty of packing your bags for you.
Oh, wow.
Well, I gotta go end transmission and energize.
That's funny. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this shindig up. Thank you so much for listening to us. You can find us on our Facebook page, Next Generation's First Generation Podcast. We also have an email address, nextgenfirstgenpod@gmail.com. We're also on Libsyn, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Thingamajigger Music, and everywhere else. We also would recommend that you check out our Shore Leave series. You can also find that on the Two True Freaks Network.
Yep, on their regular show feed.
Mm-hmm. And then our next episode coming up that you'll look forward to is Peak Performance. And that is the last real episode of Season 2. And then we got that dreaded clip show.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But we'll reserve our commentary for that dumpster fire when we get to it. So on that note, folks, have a wonderful day.
Next time on Star Trek The Next Generation.
The hunt begins, number one.
The crew battles each other in simulated war games.
Computers report heavy damage to the Enterprise.
Bring us about, Ensign. Maximum shields.
But a surprise ambush traps them in a fight for survival.
That's no ghost attacking the Enterprise, that's real.
Where are my weapons?
Unavailable, sir. The connections have been fused.
On Star Trek The Next Generation.
Why am I interviewing you guys?
So you're the guest.
So Sascha, what is Star Trek
Hi,
Next
I'm the
Generation?
guest.
So Sascha, what is Star Trek The Next Generation?
Seek us out at Next Generation's First Generation at iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube. Music credits include Electric Car by Poddington Bear, Broke for Free, As Colorful as Ever, Glass Android by Lee Rosevere, Telecom Extended Mix by Lee Rosevere, Everyone is So Alive by Loyalty Freak Music, Audio Engineering by Sascha Shouties, Chief Meme Maker and episode cover credit goes to Matthew Kirschner. Logo and graphic art design credit goes to David Clawwitter. And special thanks to Patrick Delmore for working with other podcasts to make sure the good word
podcast
gets
that you
out.
think people should be listening to? Send us your promos and we'll play them on the show. If you'd like to email the show, you can email us at nextgenfirstgenpod@gmail.com. I've been Patrick Delmore.
And this is Sascha Shouties. Thank you very much for listening and have a wonderful day.
Good night.